Salma Hayek, you're a producer of the film Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet, and you also are a voice actor in it. And it's based on the book by Kahlil Gibran. How did you become familiar, with Gibran and this book?
My grandfather, who was Lebanese, always had the book in his on his bedside table. And as a little girl, I was mesmerized by the cover of this book, which is a portrait that Kahlil Gibran, who was also an artist, did of a man. And to me, that man in my head looked like my grandfather. And we were very close. When I was little, I used to see him every day. And then when I was about 6, he died, which was very, very difficult for me because I was really young and somebody so close died. And many years later, when I was about 18, I was in a house and I saw the book. And so I asked if I could borrow it. And when I read it, I felt like it was my grandfather talking to me and giving me advice about life through this book.
And as a producer of the film, at what point did you become involved with this project? Were you with it from the very beginning, from the ground up?
No. Some people who had never done film before had gotten the rights, which was not an easy task because Kahlil Gibran left the rights, the rights of all his work to his village, a village in Lebanon. So there was a lot of people involved in making that decision, and it took our partner Steve about 8 years to get those rights. And then they tried to do it for some time as a live action, but they couldn't figure out how to do it. And finally they went to a producer called Clark Peterson and said Clark had the idea that maybe it should be animated. But at the time it was just going to be a collection of all the poems in animation. And then they brought it to me at this point. Clark, who's a friend, brought it to me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, "It's too dense, 13 poems back to back." And I said, "But I love the idea of doing something in animation for this poetry. And I think it's something that the world really needs today, his philosophy." So I came up with the idea of creating a story. And within this story, insert 8 poems, and that's when I became this is when I became involved.
Was it challenging to decide which poems to use and which not to use? You mentioned there were 13 and you used 8.
No, there's 26, I think,
Oh,
20 something. But oh my God, look at my hair. It's good that we have the camera, right? It's the first time I do this. No, it was not so difficult because it was important to have the right main storyline. And then, because his poems are just about life, you can practically write any story. And you will find at several points poems that are relevant. So once we had the story, then we chose what was organic for that story.
Animation, compared to live action, especially the different kinds of styles that are used in this film, they're so evocative in such a different way than live action would have been. What do you ultimately think, after having made the film as an animated film, that this is the way it sort of had to be? It couldn't have been done any other way?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The film. Let me re-sit down because I'm sliding. The film, it's a film about freedom, and we wanted to do an experiment. We wanted not to show freedom as a concept in a film, but we wanted the audience to actually experience freedom as they are watching the film. And so we did a lot of things that are strange and have never been done in films. And I don't think we could have done it if we could have never been able to do that in live action. And let me give you some examples so that you know what the heck I'm talking about. We use 9 different animators, and within the story, we go to 8 different poems. Roger Allers does the main animation, the animation for the main story, and then every single one of those 8 animators, which are some of the very best in the world, were chosen, and we made sure that they were men and women, that they were different ages, that they come from different religious backgrounds, different countries. They were all very talented, but very, very different people, even in their style of animation. And we gave them complete freedom for interpretation of the poems. We just gave them the poem, and however they wanted to express whatever that poem made them think of or feel, they were free. We did not interfere. They always had complete freedom in which way, what technique. I'm sorry, we did not even give them a color palette. It was amazing, and it's completely unusual, so they were completely free. But when whoever's watching, it's not a movie that it's telling you what to think, where, or how to feel, where. We do have the regular structure, but for this moment, this is a moment that it's for you. And it's amazing to see when people come out. Everybody takes something different. Even the poems, you're not supposed to understand every single line of the poem. Sometimes there's one line that moves you, that clarifies something for you. But what's more impactful are the images. Because we do the philosophy, we have the poems, but what really, really gets you in the heart and in the subconscious, with the words, beautiful words, it's the poems and it's the visuals and the music. And every time they come, you don't know when they're going to come, and you have no idea what they're going to look like. So because you're not controlling what's happening, you are free. You are free from one point of view. You are free from one style. Your brain, it's kind of surprised. So it's yours. This is your time. And so we have these little vignettes 8 times during the film. We could have never done that with live action.
Music is another big aspect of the film, and conveying these poems. And you got the score by Gabriel Yared, and some of the essays are set to music. They're sung. What? Tell me about the approach to music, or your thoughts about what the music adds to these poems and this storytelling.
Oh, it's so important. It's one of the important vehicles to take that trip, you know. They all work together very well. Some of the animators, there were 2 who needed the music first, and then they would collaborate with the musician and tell them exactly what they wanted. So not even in the music, it's only one style. Because, for example, John Sparr, who did on Marriage, he wanted an Oriental tango. It's not necessarily what. And then Nina Palin did on Children, and for her, she has to start with the music. And I had the idea to talk to Damien Rice, who's a very good friend, and ask him, and I know that he loves the book, if he would make that poem into a song. And he said, oh, yes, let me look at it. And now I had to go to a friend because we had no money. So I needed to pull all my favors on this one. And he was recording his album, and I called him back and I said, did you do it? Did you look at it? He goes, oh, no, let me look at it. I go, Damian, I need it like for tomorrow. We need to like record this next. And he goes, okay. Give me a second here. I'll call you back. He called me back in an hour. I promise you. And he goes, I got something. I thought he was going to call me to tell me yes or no. And he goes, tell me this is the right direction. And he sang me the song, complete, with the guitar on the phone. And I go, that's it? Did you record it? And he goes, no. I go, well, record it now before you forget. And I think it's one of the most beautiful things in the film. I love it. We also have Glenn Hansen, Nina Hannigan in it. I wish we had more money to invite more artists, but I just had to go to all my Irish friends and ask them to do these, like, practically for nothing.
And, another, speaking of Irish friends.
I'm sorry. You know who else? Yo-Yo Ma. Also, it's featured in the film. We have one of the poems. It's his music, and then he has a couple of solos of the important score that were done by him.
You mentioned your Irish friends, and of course the main character in the film, Mustafa, who's the political prisoner who's imparting the wisdom and who's delivering these poems. He's voiced by Liam Neeson, who has such a distinctive voice, a very recognizable voice. What do you think he and his voice and his acting performance brought to this material and to these poems?
His voice is really magical. There's something about it that is soothing. It's not just sexy. There's something about it that it's just peaceful, and there's some wisdom to it, but not pretentious. And we needed somebody who made you feel safe as he was talking, at the same time that it commanded attention, but without being forceful, in a smooth way, easygoing. We never wanted this to be preachy. All the poems are said in a very simple way, as if you were talking to a child, so that it's not pretentious or just intimidating, you know. So to me, his voice is part of the music of these pieces.
Now, you know, having been familiar with.
Wait, now that since you mentioned the Irish, I was thinking, you know, we have another Irish in this movie, which is Tom Moore, who did On Love, and Glenn Hansen and Lisa Hannigan, who are both Irish, also did the music. And Tom is I think he's one of the best animators in the world. He was nominated for an Oscar last year. He already won an Oscar before, and I think he's one of the most talented animators I've ever met.
Not to make you play favorites with the different segments as they appear in the film, but you know, being familiar with the book and the poems beforehand, did you have a favorite going into it that you were the most looking forward to, that you know touched you most in the greatest way?
You know, I had a favorite poem, which was on children, but you know, as that didn't mean that I was looking forward that one the most, because I was just so in awe of the level of talent that we were able to involve in the film, that I was so curious to see each one of them for many different reasons. Like, for example, Bill Plimpton, who is a legend, but he can be quite naughty. And we told him, be free, do whatever you want. And sincerely, we were terrified to see what he was going to turn in, because we wanted to make it a family movie. And so I was really curious to see what he was going to do. And we gave him on eating and drinking, but of course, you know, you can give him anything and he can make it naughty. And so I was really anticipating the moment when that came in. And then we have Joan Gratz, who is a woman who invented a technique that it's clay and paint together on a hard surface. I think it's glass what she uses, and she starts drawing with a finger, and then she shoots a little bit, and then she transforms the same surface with the same finger, shoots a little bit more, and keeps transforming the same surface. She doesn't change the surface. She doesn't start again. It's the same work that it's growing and growing and transforming and transforming, and that's the longest one. And it is so mind-blowing, the beauty of it. She did on work and everything with a finger, and she says, okay, when it's super tired, I work with this one, but when it's super, super tired, I have to go to this one. I don't want to do the other side. And she says, but this one is not as talented, so I just give it a rest for a little bit and I continue. But I mean, she worked so hard, and she took months and months to get it done. And Bill, who does it just with crayons, I think like in a week or something really fast, we had the whole thing. And then, you know, there was still more, and then Mohammed, you know, who is less known than the others, although in the Middle East he's very, very famous. We gave him Good and Evil. So I was like, what is his interpretation of Good and Evil? I cannot wait to see, you know. And it's so, so beautiful. And every single one of them, now I feel like I should mention every single one of them, because every single one of them was just fascinating to follow the process.
You know, the book having been written almost a century ago, now people are coming to this film and maybe experiencing it and Kahlil Gibran's writing for the first time. What do you hope people who see this film, what do you most hope they'll take away from it now?
The film, it's about freedom of speech. It's about freedom. It sees it from many different perspectives. But I don't want people to take I don't have an agenda for them to take anything specific out of it. And everybody takes out something different, and this is what I'm the most proud of. But what I think it's very timeless and timely about this film is that it talks about just appreciation of the simple things in life that we all share as human beings. It doesn't matter what religion you come from, where you come from, what color you are, what age you are. We all have to confront death, love. We all have to eat, we all have to drink, and it boils it down to the things about humanity that make us all one. And I think in a time like this, it's very important to be inspired, to be an individual, to let your imagination go, to have an experience where you're entertained, but you're not being numb, or you're not, because it's either usually entertainment is like you're just like blocking everything out, or you're getting a hit of emotions that are very, very superficial, but you're not necessarily inspired or moved in a deeper or spiritual way at the same time as you're being entertained. Or sometimes you become thoughtful, but my main hope is that you become compassionate. Not just, I don't want it to be just thought-provoking. I want it to be compassion-provoking. Not because there are sad things in the movie that are going to make you feel sorry for someone, but because it makes you ponder about those things that connect us all. and if you remember that we are all connected, you get in touch with your humanity. And when you get in touch with your humanity, not like in a charity that I'm going to go help someone, no. It's very interesting. It's about reminding you things about you that you forget to remember that make you connect with others. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Probably not.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll say I want to take that answer and animate it and set it to music next.
Okay, thank you very much.
I want to thank you again for taking the time to talk with me and congratulate you on the film. We were supposed to speak at this time with also the director Roger Allers. We had some technical trouble there. We will hopefully set that up soon. But yeah, thank you very much for your time and for the profit.
Some technological voodoo going on in his computer. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you'll see the film. Bye bye.